Hello and welcome to another episode of the Made in Carroll Show. My name is Jason Stambaugh.
I'm Steve Lowe.
And we are back for
good to be
another...
back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I mean, you don't have your headphones on.
No headphones this time
around.
I've got a promotion.
We had enough complaining from last season that people thought we were a video show and not an audio show. So
we're actually a video show.
Yeah, we're acting more like we're on video.
Hope you watch it.
And so, as you could look around, many of you probably know that we're here today at Johanssons Dining House to continue our journey to meet the entrepreneurs and families behind Carroll's craft wine, beer, and spirits boom. You ready to go take a tour?
Let's do this.
Here?
Let's go see it.
All right, let's go do it.
Hey, Jason.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Steve.
Great to see you.
Thanks for having us here.
Awesome. Whoa, we're kind of tight quarters here. I don't want to knock anything over, but this is Jay Lampart. You're the head brewer here at Johanssons Brewing Company, correct?
Yes.
Cool. So tell us a bit about where we're at right now in relation to the restaurant. Like where are we at right now?
Okay, well, as you can see, we're right alongside the railroad tracks somewhere down Main Street.
Very cool.
In Westminster. And as a matter of fact, there was a period of time where we were in the Guinness Book of World Records
Really?
as being the closest operating brewery to any brewery. But
That's
we're
awesome.
right.
Did somebody beat the record?
Well, no, someone actually
Did someone put the brewery on top of the railroad tracks? It's just
If anybody knows the history of the building and the history of the owner, there were definitely. I don't know how to. I always feel like we should cut this out.
No. But I think it's kind of cool. Like,
Right.
Guinness Book of World Records, I had no idea. But I think that in terms of having no idea about this place, I don't think a lot of people even know that there's like beer brewed here. I mean, I've been here like billions of times and probably spent billions of dollars at this establishment, and I think that it took me probably the first 10 times to like really be aware that there's a functioning brewery. I knew there were house beers.
It never ceases to amaze me how many people will come into this restaurant and say, "What do you got going on in here?"
Yeah.
They drive by Main Street, they can see in the windows, they can see the big tanks, they can read the sign outside that says Johanssons Brewing Company. They have no idea that we actually make beer here.
Yeah.
And we're a small operation. We brew 7.5 barrels at a time. So
Okay.
if you multiply 7.5 by 31, that's about how many gallons of beer we produce, which comes to roughly between 200 and 218 gallons of beer.
Okay.
I have 4 operating fermentation tanks here. All these conical tanks that you see are all the beers that we do all the fermentation in. There's one out here. This is a new one that we installed within the past 5 years.
Okay.
Actually had to bring it in through the window and have Main Street shut down to get it in here.
There you go.
This is the mash tun. This is where the barley is put. You make the little porridge that later becomes beer. This is where it's boiled. It is, as you can see, very close quarters. This I kind of retrofitted as a cold liquor tank, so I use this for cold water to actually run through my heat exchanger. This is the catwalk here in the manway where all the work is done. I mean, it's a very, very small space, but we can do a lot of work in here.
So it's kind of like, you hear the tiny house movement. This is sort of like the tiny brewing movement. You got like a catwalk for the beer. It's pretty cool. So how many beers are made here? Out of this space.
Well, like I said, so I could have 4 going at once, and then we have 4 dedicated lines out there.
Okay.
And then I'll also run a couple of the guest lines that we have with some seasonal beers.
Okay.
As I run out of real estate downstairs, I'll grab those beers, keg them off, and we'll sell them on some of our lines up here. So I could have anywhere from 4 to 7 beers going at once, 4 to 7 house beers.
Very, very cool. And I know that in addition to brewing the house beers that you serve here at the restaurant, I've heard that you do a little bit of contract brewing or do some special projects that might send some beer outside of this space. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So there's a private golf club, private corporate golf club that's very prestigious that I do brew a line of golf-centric beers for.
Very cool.
And it's. I tell you, I'm very proud to know that coming out of this small facility in Carroll County, I know that the beer I brew for this club has been shared by, it's been a part of major corporate commercial real estate deals. You name it. I mean, I know of some people that have drank the beer and then
some important beer. It's important beer.
There's almost a thrill in that.
Yeah, sure.
To know that, and it's kind of I don't want to say it's a secret, but it's just one of these things that I don't really talk too much about. I don't really connect this place to the club or the club to this place, but it happens.
Cool.
We sell a significant amount of beer there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I'm always proud when something awesome is made in Carroll and makes its way outside of Carroll. Because I'm presuming this club is outside of Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Baltimore County,
Okay.
and it was great because in the spring and summer they're slammed with golf, and this is typically our slower season here. Carroll County doesn't seem to draw an awful lot of tourists in the summertime. I mean, you have people in Gettysburg that do come down,
Yep.
but we really do most of our business this time of year. Through the fall, we're very busy when school's in session, when McDaniel's in session. This is a very family, community-oriented place. So in the spring and summer, when we start the numbers start to dwindle, it's a great way to just keep the yeast alive and do these proprietary beers for this particular club and just kind of keep the cash flow going here.
Yeah, and speaking of sort of these proprietary beers or special project beers, I know that McDaniel recently celebrated their 150th anniversary, correct?
Yes.
And the special, what was special about the beer that was brewed here for McDaniel's 150th? Because I remember hearing that you guys brewed that beer here.
Yeah,
What's
so
special about that
Vince had given me a call and said, hey, I want to brew these beers specifically for McDaniel. And he actually came in and helped me do the porter. Yeah, so they were just the beers that, again, they wanted to do for the 150th anniversary. I can't recall exactly why we did what we did, but Vince had some reasons he wanted to do those particular beers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking a lot about beer, and I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm kind of ready to taste the beer. Let's go taste the beer. Sure. We did a lot of talking about the beer, and I'm really, really excited. I think the first one I want to try is that the Free State IPA, the one that you brewed for Union Mills.
Yes.
The collaboration beer, the awesome.
So this is George and I from George from Pub Dog and myself brewed this for Union Mills this year. Every year we do a collaboration for the festival.
Okay.
And
what festival is? What festival?
Union Mills.
Union Mills. Okay.
And typically we'll work with Union Mills, and we'll do some kind of historical beer, and they'll grind the grain for us. This year we just thought, let's go with a session IPA, something that everyone can drink, and we'll use some local hops, and we use a little bit of local wheat as well. So this is a 5.5% IPA. It's a very, very straightforward British style IPA. It's got a nice mineral taste to it. It's got a nice snappy hop finish and aroma. And it's still, again, there's a nice balance between the malt and the hops, cool. So it's not over the top.
Do I get one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. Sorry.
It's a little early. I'm used to smelling this early in the day here, but all right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's see. So you said minerally. What do you mean by that? Because I'm picking up on it. I mean, what's that?
Yeah, but like there's a specific water profile, Burton on Tom's, and that you see in a lot of the British beers.
Okay.
One of the things that really distinguishes those beers from others is the mineral content in the water. It definitely affects the aroma and the flavor of the hops and the malt and everything like that.
It's not super hoppy though.
No, it's not. It's not over the top. Again, it's a session IPA. So, again, if you get too hoppy with the session IPAs, it's going to taste like hop tea.
And so what's a session?
Yeah, what is
Talk
session?
about a
Okay, so a session,
We're treat us like we're beer ignorant. Like I only know,
Sure.
you know, I drink the beer, but I don't know anything about the beer.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this day of fake news, I want to make you might want to fact check me on this. Well, you might want to fact check me on this, but my understanding is Michael Jackson, the late beer aficionado, coined the term session beer as just a beer that you could drink in succession. So you can have 2 or 3 of these and not fall over.
Got it.
Okay, so they're light, and they're, again, light being they're approachable. They're not over the top alcohol content. They're not super strong, but they have flavor.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that about this beer because typically I drink an IPA and it's like sour, it's sort of like bite.
Well, it's got that. I could have that tannic astringent.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
so a session
astringency.
IPA is a beer that you could drink 2 or 3 of consecutively, not get too hammered, and it's not super hoppy.
Well, yeah, and then it's not super hoppy, but when you're talking about beers that have significantly lower alcohol content, especially by today's standards, I mean, you look at your typical IPA, I mean, I can go down this line of guest beers that we have. They're going to be 7, 8.5%, double IPA, triple IPA. People are going for these over-the-top, just sensory overload of hop aroma. When you ramp down the alcohol content and you're in the range of like a bitter or an extra special bitter or something like that. You've got to have balance between the hop aroma and the malt.
Totally coming through. So this beer, so every year this beer is a little bit different, right?
Yeah. So last year we did some kind of pre-prohibition historical,
That's super cool.
and it was it's a lot of work for us. You get a lot of planning, and typically I'm on vacation with my family. George gives me hey, we got to come up with our beer this year. It's like, okay, what are we gonna do?
This is at the Microbrew Festival in September.
Yeah, September. So usually we're brewing at the end of August.
Okay.
And we're scrambling. We're calling Union Mills and we're coordinating with them. And Ivan is grinding our grain.
Yeah.
And we're calling up local hop growers and trying to get the hops in. So this year is like we came together with this idea, and I think George came up with this. He's like, let's just do a session IPA. I was like, that'd be great.
This is fantastic. Normally, like I take a pass on IPA, but I think this is really good.
Yeah. So just real quick, tell us, what does the planning look like? What does the process look like from idea to this glass right here?
I mean,
you say you're on vacation.
Oh yeah, I mean that's typically how it works out. Yeah.
It's like, get off your vacation, plan.
No, it's a
IPA.
simple matter. It's just a conversation, and then just a little think about it, a little back and forth, and we'll come up with a formula. And all right, well, and again, the formula is very. I think brewing is really alchemy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's like, well, it's science, and it's alchemy. So there's a little bit of pre-planning that goes into this. There's some formulas we use to come up with our bittering levels and to come up with our alcohol content and our color and all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to do it, and we'll get something close to what we planned.
Yeah.
Well, this is a beautiful. I think a beautiful beer.
It is.
In every respect. So
A little astonished.
I know.
I'm really enjoying this IPA right now.
Yeah, George and I have been working together for years, and I really I stand behind the beer he makes. He does an excellent job, and
we'll be featuring Pub Dog later on.
Yeah, I mean, I trust his work ethic, his integrity, the cleanliness of his brewery. Like I would trust. I've borrowed yeast from him. He's borrowed yeast from me.
Yeah.
So I just know that the end product is going to be something good. He actually trusted me with one of his contracts one time. That he's like, hey, can you brew this for me? It's for a restaurant up in New York, and again, he's a solid guy. I go to him anytime with stuff. So
awesome. Well, let's move on. Let's go to like one of the like give me like the house beer that like if I'm coming here for Saturday afternoon that I gotta get while I'm here. Give us that house beer. So which one is
so
that?
the beer, I tell you that the fastest selling beer we have is the Hoodlehead, which is our house pale ale.
Well, let's do it. Let's do the
let's see here. Yeah, this is the one people. If I don't have this beer on tap, the regulars get very angry.
People get a little grouchy.
Yeah. And this is the one I typically have a hard time keeping up with because we'll run out of this long before.
Yeah. So tell us about the Hoodlehead. So I'm comparing to the Session IPA.
Yeah.
It's a little lighter. So it's a little bit
Yeah, lighter in
so-
color,
okay.
but again, alcohol strength now we're in the 6.5 range. Okay, and you get a little more of that hop bite in the end, a little more aroma. There's a lot of
The Christmas trees, look at the hops. Like, I don't know, it's like that type of really distinctive smell.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell exactly like a Christmas
so
tree.
the main hop. Again, I'm not one to use a whole wide variety of hops
Okay.
in the beer. I like to kind of streamline things. So I only use 3 varieties in this. I use Cascade. I use Clusters, which is I'm sorry, not Clusters. Glacier
Okay.
hops. Just a real clean, kind of straightforward,
So these
spicy
hops.
hops.
So I think that again, we're beer nudes.
Right.
So the hops, I know that there's different kinds. You just mentioned
Yeah.
a few that you select. Like where do these hops come from? Are they grown here in Carroll? Like, give us a sense
So
of
I'll tell you,
hops.
Cascades grow really well in this part of the United States. I know that farmers are experimenting with a wide variety of species, not species, just of
Varietals.
varietals. And a lot of them are susceptible to downy mildew and different types of things. So I know a lot of what we call the big C hops, Cascade, Columbus, Chinook, Cascades. I think I mentioned Cascades. But Cascades grow really, really well here. The other C hops are ones that people are starting to experiment with and having success with. But there are some varieties of hops that are they're having a lot of difficulty with them here for whatever reason.
Got it. So
So
it's like sort of like picking different spices or different kinds of pepper. Is that
Yeah.
how different they are? It's sort of
Right.
like, well, they're all kind of generally the same with different kinds of pepper. Or are we talking like the difference between
Well, you could-
salt
yeah.
and
We could talk about the terroir of the land and all this kind of stuff, but I mean, again, like I definitely notice a difference in East Coast Cascades versus West Coast Cascades. There's a significant difference. In fact, we did use local Cascades in the Free State IPA that you tried. These are West Coast Cascades.
Got it.
Okay, and I prefer the East Coast Cascades. There's something about them. They
You know,
just have
if
a.
If I were just to pick my favorite, if I were to rank them right now, I think the Free State would certainly be my preferred.
Right.
I would prefer that too. However, and I generally consider myself a sissy beer drinker. You know, Belgian whites, those sort of things. And I don't really enjoy very hoppy beer. And this is fairly hoppy, but I don't dislike it at all. Why is that? Why do I like this right now?
I guess that's. Again, my philosophy behind brewing is just balance. I want balance. I don't want anything to be over the top. Typically, my beers don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I mean, I think they just kind of fill in there in terms of balance. I mean, I say that's what this, because I'm the same way. Like, I'm like, give me an IPA, I'm always like infinitely skeptical, because with a lot of them, it's like, it just runs
too much.
wild.
Like,
It just runs
boom,
wild.
I can't
It
handle
sort of
this.
like brings me up. And then it's just like, hey, we're gonna have a gentle decline back down. It's like a real gentle, it's a gentle high. Something like
There you
that. Again, dear dudes. So we got the Hoodle Head, we have the Free State. Now, I know that you have a special beer on tap that might never be available to anyone else on planet Earth, but I'm dying to try it. If you brewed the special beer from McDaniel,
Ah, the
I'm a
porter,
McDaniel
yeah.
alum. I gotta try it. Gotta
Okay.
I'm
try
glad we're
this
doing
porter.
this. I want to
So
try
the
this
porter.
So what makes a porter a porter?
Well,
I have no idea. It's very dark. What makes it
Yeah.
so dark?
Just a small percentage of roasted caramelized malts. So, the way that coffee beans are roasted to different degrees of roastiness and color, barley is the same way. So barley is, after it's malted, is either kiln dried or.
Got it.
too. Why is your that's bigger than
I'm
mine.
larger than you.
Apparently, that's for sure.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You can't handle it.
So you'll get some coffee and chocolate
I was gonna
and
say, man, this tastes like the coffee that I was just drinking.
even tobacco. You'll get a little bit of tobacco in there.
yeah.
And really, the distinction between porters originally were brewed for like the train porters used to buy it. It was kind of a throwaway beer, and someone had mentioned again from a historical context. I can't tell you who did it, but someone had mentioned, and it was a well-known person. This is a stout porter. And that's kind of how the word stout came into being. And stouts are typically, well, the irony of stouts is like dry Irish stouts, like your Guinness and your Murphys and stuff like that. They're typically around 4 to 4.5, no more than 5% alcohol.
Yeah.
So and porters can be I mean, I've seen porters up to like 8.5, 9%. So the irony is that the stout porters are actually the porters. But you'll see a lot of things like oatmeal stout. You'll see the nitro stouts, things like that. But again, a porter is. Oh, go ahead. You're gonna.
No, I mean, I was gonna say, like, I'm definitely going back to like the coffee. I'm getting like the coffee and then even the tobacco. Now that you said it, I'm getting a little bit of that on this. And
This hit me in the face for my first sip. Now I'm really. I didn't. Not that I didn't enjoy it. It was like, wow.
It's got a strong personality.
It's a strong personality. And we're warming up to each other right now.
Right.
We're actually getting along pretty well.
And again,
solid relationship
we are.
with this beer.
Again, like I said, my approach to brewing is just balance and again, this is only 5.5% alcohol, so it's on the lower end of porters, but it still kind of packs a powerful punch in terms of flavor. It's not over the top. I mean, again, like some porters, you drink them, and it's like you're dragging on a cigar.
Yeah.
This I think you drink and you have a nice finish, but it disappears eventually. So if you're eating meal with it, you're not. Everything balances.
I don't think I need to eat right now.
Out.
This is.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like chewy. It's like a pastrami sandwich.
It's hearty.
So I think these beers are all beautifully done. I think again, I'm more of the this season, like I'm more into the spirits. That's just my jam. But this beer is absolutely beautifully done. And so I know that you guys, so talk about I come here on a Saturday afternoon. You're going to have a couple of seasonal beers. We've got the Free State. Actually, I've gotten confused. I don't know. Wait.
That's your Hoodle Head there.
Yeah, there we go.
That's your Free State there, yeah.
And the Hoodle Head. So I'm going to be able to get the 3 house beers, which I know is
yeah, we have Hoodle Head. We have Honest Ale, which is a cream ale. Okay. Basically a golden ale. Okay. This is like your Budweiser of craft beer.
Okay.
Again, it's brewed with 100% barley. There's no corn adjuncts or rice adjuncts in there. 100% barley, just a little bit of Munich, Vienna, and 2-row pills, and then again I just use Holler Tower hops through the whole gamut, and it's a very approachable beer. That's the beer if someone says I don't know what to get, I would always recommend that one. Then we have the Whistle Stop, which is our amber, and that's sort of that's kind of a cross between the porter and the pale ale. If you can think, it's coppery in color. It's got a really nice malt backbone to it, and just it's dry hopped with a little bit of hops, so it's got still a nice hop aroma in the end.
So would you have a personal favorite, say, out of these 3?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My personal favorite is the Honest Ale.
Okay.
That's the one I drink at home most.
Okay.
Because again, it's just I think what happens is, I mean, I've been doing this now for 12 years. And I think you just get fatigued on all that. There's so much out there. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, after you're brewing for 6 or 7 hours and you're smelling the mash and all this, you just want something that a
good honest ale.
Just a good honest ale. And to me, it's well balanced. I don't have to think too much about it. Yeah. It goes with just about every meal imaginable. It's refreshing at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, there's an endorsement there for coming here on a Saturday afternoon and you're looking for a beer. Start with the Honest Ale. Now, do you do any sales? Like, can I take this beer with me in any way?
Yeah, you can buy growlers, and I'll tell you, our growler pricing here is ridiculously reasonable.
Yeah.
You can walk. Sue, what does a growler cost of house beer?
To buy it is, we just use it for instance. So to have it filled is
Yeah, just to have it filled.
For a house beer, it's $10.
Okay,
wow.
$10 gets you a half-gallon growler of beer.
That's right, it went up to 12. So
Okay.
The big growler is
Sue,
12.
you gotta come in.
Now we gotta introduce.
You gotta come in now. This is actually the perfect.
Sue, this is what I've been saying.
Hello, Sue. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining in. And I think this is the perfect connection here because again, we were talking about the point of the show is that, or at least the surprise of there being a brewery here is like people come here all the time and have no idea that those beers necessarily are made like literally right around the corner. And
next to the railroad tracks.
I thought it was just for show. Like,
right, and if you take note of what her sweatshirt says right now, it says Johanssons Dining and Brew House. And still we get the question, You brew beer?
Yeah, we do.
It happens all the time.
Well, so I think this is a great way to sort of wrap up this conversation with sort of the marriage of the brewery and the dining house. So is there any, I know that we have lots of great seasonal beers to look forward to from the brewing side of the house. Was there anything exciting coming this in 2018 for brewery or for the restaurant? Anything that you'd like to to share, tell us about, people can look forward to?
I think we've already done most of our December stuff.
Okay.
Because through town they had, last week was the Santa pub crawl, the Toys for Tots shop for the
Okay.
cop was last Saturday. I mean, we got Christmas Eve coming up. We're doing a brunch during the day.
Very
And
cool.
then at night we're doing limited dinner, and then the same for New Year's Eve is a Sunday, so we're doing brunch in the morning and then dinner at night, limited menu. And then the bar will stay up open later.
Very cool.
How about 2018? Anything to look forward to?
We do quite a few things. I mean, March, you're going to have the Celtic Canter, which is the
There we
week
go.
before St. Patrick's Day. So that's the run through town. And then it's all day long. We have the free trolley rides. So they take you bar to bar and you do your bar hopping free St.
So,
Patrick's
so you
Day.
just introduced something I think that people probably don't know and be surprised. So you've mentioned the Santa pub crawl. We've got a trolley pub crawl, and I've seen signs for the Halloween pub crawl.
That's a hayride.
The hay-
Now
that-
we do a hayride.
Whoa, that's even better.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 different pub crawls. So I think people can look forward
Oyster
to those
stroll,
oyster
that's
strolls.
another huge one. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff happening downtown. And so check out the Johanssons website. You can find all about the
Yep.
stuff and see on the city of Westminster.
We're on
always-
Facebook too.
Yeah,
They put a lot
on
on there.
Facebook. Well,
And sometime, well, again, again, this is time-sensitive stuff, but I know that if you come in here in February,
yeah.
maybe even late January, we'll have a Belgian IPA. That'll be our next seasonal beer.
Very cool. So we have the Belgian IPA.
Yeah, which is it's a really nice style of beer because you get the best
Hey,
of
you got to come in.
both
You
worlds.
said-
I'm
in fact,
gonna
you
have to
said
do it.
that.
I did say that.
Is it called? You
Well, I
it
said
was a
Belgian
sissy
white.
beer. You said
Belgian,
it was a sissy
no,
beer.
Belgian IPA is different though.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
Well,
Belgian
the
IPA is
Belgian
probably
IPA,
not a
you get
sissy
some
beer.
earthy flavors,
Yeah.
you get some of that, the
Yeah.
spiciness of the Belgian beer, but then you get the
Considering my newfound relationship with IPAs, I might just
Might start experimenting.
this might work out. We
Well,
might
there
have
you
a
go.
future together.
Well, I know we've learned a lot, Jay. You've been a fantastic host, and like we close every single episode, we sincerely thank you for making something awesome right here in Carroll County, Maryland.
I appreciate it. I thought you were going to say we close with a song. Maybe we're not doing that.
Thank you for tuning in to the Made in Carroll show. This episode was hosted by me, Jason Stambaugh, and my good friend and colleague Steve Lowe. The audio, the video, really everything you experienced on this episode was produced by 127 Creative. As you can see, they really can create and communicate everything. To learn more about the Made in Carroll show, visit us online at madeincarroll.com. You can find our videos on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the audio of each episode anywhere where podcasts are found. Thanks again to the Boys and Girls Club of Westminster and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's episode. And finally, thank you to all of the backers of our Season 2 Kickstarter campaign. You guys know who you are. We're grateful for your support and for helping us make something awesome right here in Carroll County, Maryland.